Welcome back to Footy Classified. A pleasure to have Laura Kane in the hot seat tonight here. Good to have the hot seat back, to be perfectly honest. But Laura, welcome to the show. First of all, can I say this? Last week I thought you, Andrew Dillon, but particularly you, were exemplary. I thought you got just about everything right. The Alistair Clarkson situation, I thought you did that in an elegant way, showing respect to everybody, but also with a firm hand. And certainly the Jimmy Webster scenario has now been a benchmark for what goes forward. So congratulations to you on that.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. If that's the start we've got, then it might be an easy night.
Oh, that's the start. Now let's get into it. But seriously, we're going to go into some of the issues that we've seen with the striking over the duration. Damien Barrett broke a story earlier tonight about the payout for Brayshaw, Angus Brayshaw. It's all connected. Do you want to ask a few questions?
Yeah, look, it's just, I don't know what you can say publicly about the total player payment situation of these issues. You've got Brayshaw being added to Paddy McCartan, Marcus Adams, Paul Seasmans. There's others. There's about 10, and there's going to be a whole lot more who have been medically retired out of the game. What will be the salary cap / total player payments relief for these clubs that are now subjected to these situations? Brayshaw having 5 years remaining of a 6-year contract.
I think the first thing to note is we don't want to see players medically retired. We don't want to see what happened to Angus happen, and we certainly don't want to see someone of his character and the contribution that he's made to football departing the game prematurely. I certainly appreciate the interest in player payments, in salary caps, but it's just not a topic we talk about. We don't discuss the complexities of the TPP. We don't discuss the detail around the salary cap, but as I said, I certainly understand the interest.
The generics of it, I mean, I believe that the Swans got total player payment relief for Paddy McCartan's wage. Now, it's a different number attached to his payout to what it will be with Brayshaw. Less money, clearly, for the Swans player than the Melbourne one. But it's understandable from my perspective, and I think most clubs would have this understanding, if they are to lose a player under a situation where a panel of independent people take their player out of the game for the right reasons, neurological reasons, that they should get some relief. Is that a conversation that can be had as this year unfolds, so there may be a pattern of behaviour through for all situations?
Yeah, I absolutely think it's understandable that clubs would like clarity on what happens next, but as I said, it's a really difficult one for us to dive into here tonight because it's just not a topic that we go into. I appreciate the clubs can provide updates to their fans, which they do, and they let them know what's happening with their list, they let them know what's happening with replacement players and the like, but not from a salary cap perspective. We don't get into the detail.
Laura, let's have a look at the way we're going to stop these things happening. Now, we saw the Webster situation. The one that it's interesting, we've probably all shifted our position a little bit on this. If we can roll the videotape of the incident with George Hewitt. We all believe that if you throw a punch, you get a week, and then it goes up exponentially from there. Now here, I can understand this because it hits him, Lachie Neale, in the arm and hits him in the mouth. And then Lachie Neale gets, he probably should have got a medal for not punching him in the head back, to be perfectly honest, in the old days. But so two parts to it. I know Lachie Neale, the fine stays. I don't like that. Forget that, though. It's more the other bit. If somebody punches, do we all agree with this? If somebody throws a punch, because it's not a football act, if somebody throws a punch, you get a week.
I think
that'd end it in 2 seconds.
I think it's a really important point. The appetite and the community position has changed on this. I don't think people want to see that kind of interaction in a game of football. We certainly don't want to see it. I don't want to see it, and we sanctioned both of them accordingly. But I think it's something that we'll continue to look at. If players don't change their behaviour based on what they've seen in terms of rules and regulation changes over the summer, then we will continue to review it and we'll continue to act.
Why, though, is Hewitt allowed to play next week? Given what you're saying there and given you changed the adjudications on such matters, why is he allowed to punch someone and to go up to the head of that player and he's playing tomorrow night?
I think the first important point is he's been sanctioned, so we don't like what he did and we don't want to see it. The reverse camera angle is the really important angle for this matter. MRO look at every single incident on its merits. An individual incident is graded exactly that way individually based on what happened. The reverse angle shows the strike to the top of the shoulder and then it slides up when Neale lifts his arm, and that's a really important nuance. It was graded as careless. That was the difference between it being graded as intentional.
So further Ed's point, and a lot of people have discussed this, of course, in media and the wider football world.
Yes.
Can it be more simplistic than that, than football, non-football? So even the own supporter group of the Blues can go, George, you've thrown a punch, you're at a week?
think if we let fans decide...
but just the simplistic football...
I understand
This was at the rules...
I understand what you mean.
When I was actually on it, we actually debated this with Steve Hocking. We actually came to the easiest way is we want to stop people throwing punches in the community. We certainly want to stop it on a footy ground, so let's just stop it. Don't throw a punch. There's plenty of ways you can tackle. If you're in the centre and I'm scragging you and all that sort of stuff, how do you combat that without having to go whack?
Well, there's a lot of push and shove going on, but I'm of the belief, like you, Ed, that you don't go to training to practice your punching on the opposition, and it should be a week and up.
I think that's right. I think there are plenty of other ways to contest the ball. Body contact is body contact in a full contact sport like AFL football. But we've made changes over the break. We will continue to make changes if we have to. We're
going to show you two bits of vision. One was from Jordan DeGoey last year. Let's roll the videotape. And this got Jordy DeGoey 3 weeks. We were from memory.
It's a hit on Elijah Hewitt from West Coast. And I know there's no two incidents ever alike, Laura, on a footy ground, but there's a similarity to what DeGoey does there to Hewitt to what Webster did on Simpkin, which we'll see in a moment. In the space of 12 months of adjudication, one incident, the DeGoey one, was 3 weeks, and now this one here on Webster on Simpkin is 7. Are you playing catch-up as a competition to get it to 7? I think there's an acceptance of 7. You push for 8 personally, and I don't think too many on this panel last week when we discussed it would have been disappointed with 8. But are you playing catch-up on the space of 12 months being the difference from 3 to 7?
I think the landscape is different.
Yeah.
I think what happened last year is different to what happens this year, and we made that really clear with our changes to the MRO and tribunal guidelines. We asked for 8 publicly. It wasn't just my position, it was the
What wasn't it worth 5 or 6
AFL.
last year, though, on DeGoey?
It's different. And the change, it's different. There's a different landscape, a different expectation from the community. And in fact, all 4 of you are in agreement that this is not what we want to see in our game. And I think that's different. I think commentary is different, and I think the media overlay and opinions are really shifting. People have kids, they play community football, and we absolutely don't want to see that happening.
You've brought people along with you really well, and I think we're all there now. And in fact, we're saying, all right, let's even make it more, pardon the pun, black and white. Lordy.
Laura, what's the biggest priority in the game right now for you? I know people spoke about the technology and things like that. What is it for you currently, you think?
I've got 4.
Yeah.
It's not answering your question with 1.
No, I'll take 4.
I'll take it.
The floor's yours.
I'll take liberties. AFL football to stay as good or even get better in terms of on-field quality. AFLW to continue to improve. Everything that sits underneath that is extraordinary at State League, talent pathways and everything in between. Technology, as you mentioned, the innovation, being curious, ball tracking technology, research projects, what more can we learn about the game that we don't already know, and then being accessible, doing this.
Just one on technology. We saw a lot of score review over the opening round. Goal umpires are a little bit apprehensive to back themselves in off the back of the Adelaide Crows incident, because a lot of your rules you brought in to speed up the game from those particular points on the ground. Quicker kick-ins, bring the man on the mark, let's get the ball to the fat part of the ground.
You weren't happy here, were you, Jimmy?
No, I just think over the round...
I slowed up a few times.
I thought we were sharp on the weekend. I thought we were quick.
I thought it was really good.
No, but are they a little bit apprehensive and gun-shy? Because some look very obvious. I know the technology's there, use it, but are they a little bit concerned?
I think you take the moments to learn. I think what we learnt from last year is we have technology available to us that is there to assist. It's not to replace an umpire, it's not to replace people, it is there to help you. And if our goal umpires would like to access that help by way of the ARC, they should do so. What we're focused on is making those decisions as quickly as possible, but the ultimate goal is to get the right score.
Laura, the drug issue in society is one that is a vexed problem. No one has the answer. We, last week on Footy Classified, put forward not only a proposal, but one that had been discussed with AFL people, AFLPA, players themselves. Everyone believes now it's time to revisit the drug code. Now, without going into the intricacies of it, the belief now, even amongst the players, is we're sick of it, if we're not drug takers, that this other side of things happening, that there needs to be more honesty and definitive action for players who fall into particularly illicit drugs. Thoughts?
I think it's, as you said, it's a really difficult issue for society. I don't think we're different. I don't think our cohort is different to the general challenges that society are facing. I think we have elite athletes who know from a performance perspective what makes for a good athlete? How do you prepare? How do you get ready for a game of football? Any policies that we have that are player health and safety focused must continue to be reviewed. We must continue to make sure they reflect what's happening in the community and then what's expected of professional athletes in this country.
What came out of my discussions with senior people is that in-game shouldn't just be the game day. It should be the season. And that almost teaching players how to get around it is actually getting them into trouble. Some players need to be actually told right from day one, you're going to be tested on Monday, don't take drugs on the weekend. You're going to be tested on Thursday and you get tested on Saturday, or you're a chance to have that. Don't take drugs. Full stop. That's it. Not compulsory to play football, compulsory to play football without taking drugs. The community, I believe, just like we're coming to the fore with concussion, has now said, right, it's not as big a scandal if you get caught with drugs, because plenty of people do. 1 in 9 people on the roads get pulled up are drug affected. So what we need to do is actually have more stringent rules, but at the same time save our players from getting 4 years on a Saturday when the testing is going to be far more intricate, and also the drugs that they're ingesting are being made not by Pfizer but by the Hells Angels.
I think the important...
That's the thing. I mean, they don't know what they're taking.
I think the really important point there is the current policy that we have is directed by the best professional healthcare services that we have available to us. That's doctors.
15 years ago.
I understand that part, but the professionals are doctors, psychologists, psychiatrists that are world class.
I know, but I'm saying barley on that now. I mean, I was in all the meetings, I'm there from the word go, and I agree with it. So I'm not, but I think now, with the change in society, I think we should move forward with it as well.
I think that's what we look at. I think that's part of the review. The policies that we have across the whole industry need to reflect the community. Yeah. They need to reflect what's happening, and they need to work. And we're really comfortable with the healthcare approach that we have to player health and safety. We have some of the best doctors, the best high-performance staff, the best psychologists working in at our clubs. We have them working at AFL House.
I have no worries with that, but I just...
But I agree with you. Yeah. We have to continue to review to make sure our policies work and they reflect the community. But we feel good about the processes that we have in place to do that across the board, across all policies. Is there
consideration as part of this review to remove yourself from the WADA guidelines, the federal government-backed WADA guidelines, and just have your own policy?
There are a variety of options. There are so many different hypothetical scenarios you could have from a policy perspective. Yeah. There is different streams of education modules and models that exist to help people. That's just in society. So I think there are so many things you could pull apart in terms of options for the IDP. And
is your ideal to have it done, completed the review? Because it's been going for a number of years now, this review. Is it by the end of this year, for the start of 2025?
It was raised as part of the most recent CBA negotiation, which was concluded just at the end of last year. And that is most certainly an outcome that we want to see wherever we land. Yeah. We're comfortable with the healthcare model and the model that's being provided to players right now. So whatever we do, we'll improve that.
Laura, opening round was a massive success. Can you see it going even bigger next year and having more games played?
I loved it. Yeah. It was so great. The atmosphere was just wonderful. I was at both of the New South Wales games and it was extraordinary to see football a week early, firstly. I think it got everyone excited. But I've said it a couple of times this week, if you ask anyone involved in the 4 games, they would say yes. And then I think those who missed out probably wanted to be part of it as well. But it was special, and I think we'll look at what we do ahead of next year, but very positive. It
was fantastic. Well done to you on that. One last one. Please indulge me, everybody. The Sydney Swans first half, it was unwatchable. We heard players say that it was like trying to play with a bar of soap. The balls have got to be kicked in and they are just too shiny. It's the one bit of equipment that you provide. Can we get the footies right?
Can you just do this to stop him talking about it?
I know he's very passionate about this topic. I believe your preferred solution, and probably mine, for slippery footballs is them being kicked in.
Thank you.
And they're available to clubs to do that.
Make it compulsory.
Maybe I'll think about it.
In and provided to them.
I'll think about it.
Anyway, hey Laura, again, congratulations. There'll be times when you'll come on here and there'll be things to talk about, but I think it's always important as well that after a long summer and lots of different things going through, that we got to the opening round. That worked beautifully. Gather Round is building momentum, and I'm going to announce something in a few moments' time in relation to us doing a big extravaganza on the Tuesday of Gather Round in Adelaide, which is going to add even further to the week. So you've got everybody involved, the rights holders, the non-right holders, everyone wants to be part of this, and I think that'll be the same with a Zero Round next year. Just need another name, don't we? What do you reckon?
Opening round. I heard the two of you talking about this on the podcast, and I thought our marketing team might be a little bit flat. Opening round is okay, I think.
What about Northern Exposure?
Send it in. Send it to Kylie Rogers. She'll think about it.
Opening round, jeez. Come on, got to do better than that. Good luck for everything.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thanks very much for joining in. Laura Kane, our special guest tonight.